Mommy Track Daddy Whispers podcast is now called Birth Agni Podcast.
Yeah, it was absolutely nothing after that nap. Like those contractions went on for 4 or 5 hours and they kept picking up and it was nothing. And my husband just went home and he's like, तुमने तो उल्लू बना दिए. Everybody was so ready. But subhanallah, that's how birth happens. You just cannot predict anything.
This is the Birth Agni podcast, the fire that brings us alive, that burns myths and opens a channel of authentic natural birth stories. This show debunks the many myths of the medicalized births, showcases the plethora of choices a pregnant couple can make to embark on their empowered birth journey. I'm Divya Kapoor, a certified birth and lactation counselor and an aspiring traditional birth attendant. Let's get the flames blazing high. Today, we are sitting down to hear Zahra's home birth story, more so her free birth story. There are so many things in this story which are so heartwarming, so welcoming, and more than anything, it's the clarity with which Zahra explains every detail of her birth, especially the tear that she had that took 3 months to heal, but it healed on its own. It healed beautifully without any medications, just like we expected to. But what was the journey like in all of this? And I'm really grateful to her to be her innocent, sweet self when she discusses all this with us. Zehra Siddiqui is a young childbirth educator who, very early on in her practice, was disheartened with the way mums were treated in the maternity system, despite having known what birth should look like with all the classes that she decided that she herself will have a home birth. And she was very clear, her family was very clear from the very beginning. We do discuss every bit of it in this beautiful little story. So, what did it look like for her? Let's hear. Hi, Zara.
Hi, Divya. How are
We are
you?
finally, I'm good. We are finally sitting to talk about your home birth story. How old is your son and how long back was the experience?
He's 10 months old right now.
Yeah, wow, soon going to be one.
No, I'm
How
not
does it
ready to
feel?
accept that.
Mm.
No, he's my tiny baby.
And how do you feel about that experience now when you look back? Does it feel like it was surreal, not real? What do you feel about it now?
Okay, yeah, it is very surreal, Divya, very surreal. And as opposed to the last time that we tried recording, that was pretty soon after my birth. I think I want to say that I now have a conclusion to my birth, and I feel that my story is now complete. I say this because around April, I think 6 months after my birth, I had a conversation with Tapasya that made me realize something and kind of completed the story for me. So I'm really glad we're doing this now. Um, I think at the end of my story, when I share it, it's going to be complete, and I'm happy now. I think I can share my story now. So it's cool.
Wow, that's beautiful. Beautiful.
Alhamdulillah.
So, how does how vivid is it? How much do you remember from the birth? Does it feel like it happened like yesterday, or does it feel like बहुत समय हो गया? Or yours was a home birth, which is so unconventional when it comes to the mainstream way
Hmm.
women are birthing today. So what do you have to say about that in general? Does it now when you tell people about it, um, what is the reaction like? And what do people tell you? How do they feel about it?
For other people, it is a huge thing. It is abnormal. It is something very brave and very not conventional, very unusual, and just just all of these extreme reactions. But very honestly, for me, Divya, even now, for me and for my family, it is very normal. Like, we don't see it any other way. It couldn't have happened any other way. It was very, very normal. And for myself, I don't think it was anything big. In fact, I think I was not brave as compared to the woman who asked me, how were you so brave to make this decision? I think you are brave. If you're birthing in the hospital, you are brave. I don't have that much courage.
Yeah, but I think that also comes from the understanding that home births are simple, straightforward, boring, uneventful. Um, as it's a process as boring as normal as
Yes.
everyday routine.
Yes, yes, I think boring. Boring is the right word. That is how I think of it. It's nothing, like, I cannot even remember the tiny little details. The birth stories that I read and the birth stories that I listen to, there's these tiny little details of what happened the moment the baby came out and when labor began and how labor went on. But it was just a boring little labor and the baby just came out. It was just normal.
So, Zara, how did you decide on a home birth? How did that journey begin?
For this, I think I'll have to go way back because it was kind of a slow progress for us as a family. Around, I think, 8 to 10 years back from now, my mother started researching, and we kind of started adapting to a more natural way of life. We left allopathic medications and started eating healthier. Then, fast forward a few years, I'm 20 years old in college, just enjoying my last year of graduation, have no idea what I'm going to do ahead. I'm graduating in commerce. And then one of my close friends, my very best friend actually, got pregnant. And then a teacher that we were very close to got pregnant. So close to each other. That was the first time that I got to see pregnancy from a very close perspective, and I started getting very interested, in the day-to-day lives and those app updates that they get. Your baby's this size, and I was very interested in all of that uh, with my friend's pregnancy. So then one day, my mother, she kept track of things like this, and she shows me that there's this course, uh, Amani Birth, for doulas and childbirth educator. And I said, if it's anything related to birth, I want to do it. I had no idea what a natural birth is. I had no idea what a doula is. I actually signed up for a course without even knowing what it was about. I just wanted to learn about birth. So I started the workshop, and that is when I started discovering that there's a whole world out there about natural births and the difference between a natural birth and conventional one. So I started learning, and then I helped my friend. I supported my friend throughout her pregnancy, tried to educate her and her family. Then other people, other friends, and went on for, I think, those 2 years. My friend had her birth, but because of family pressure, she was forced into an induction, and then went on to have a traumatic birth with an episiotomy and traumatic fundal pressure and everything. Her birth took me 2 months to recover from emotionally, even though I wasn't actually present there at her birth. I'm actually not even certified as a doula yet because I have not attended a proper birth. Actually, even now I'm not certified as a doula because I have not attended a birth. I've attended labors, but I've never had the courage to go inside because I think I've always felt I will not be able to recover from seeing what happens to women here in India inside labor rooms, delivery rooms. So I have never picked up
Yeah.
the courage to go in there.
When it was your first experience, Zara, of
Yeah.
watching a woman go through things that you had read in your course that should not be done to women, and how it was very easily done, how easily recommended, nobody frowns upon, and nobody thinks that there's 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 a side to it that is detrimental to the process of birth. Nobody thinks like that in the medical world. How did that make you feel deep inside? Did it make you feel it is actually that bad? I didn't expect it to be that bad, but it is that bad.
Yes.
How was it? How did you?
It was a
Yeah.
crushing realization, crushing, and it still is, that it is so difficult, even women themselves, to introduce them to this natural world, to this empowering birth experiences. It is so crushing that this is so normal, so normal. So it was very bad the first time, but gave me even more motivation to spread awareness. So still working on that.
But the right perspective uh,
Yes,
to
yes,
push you into a home
definitely.
birth or to help you. Yeah.
Hmm. But I was just helping women having births in hospitals and trying to empower them, teaching them, um, my friends, and just some a few other clients. And then in those next 2 years, I also got married, so things slowed down a bit. I was busy, and but I was never really happy with what I was doing. I was never really content. There was always, even though the women who I helped, the women who I taught, they were always very grateful, like they were always very happy about having all this knowledge, but I had something nagging, because I could see that this is not what is supposed to be, right? This is not natural birth. We do not have natural birth supportive providers here. So I wasn't very content on it. And then 2 years later, very special sister contacts me. Her name was Anita. She calls me. She says that I need support for a home birth. She had a cesarean, first cesarean, and then she had a VBAC in a hospital. But right now, she was very determined to have a home birth. And I was so scared. She called so many times and she kept insisting, "Can you please support me?" I said, "No, as a doula and a childbirth educator, I'm not trained enough to just assist home birth. I cannot do that. I'm not trained enough for that." I was so hesitant. And then she kept insisting, and then she found tapasya, and she shared tapasya's contact and information. And then we went on from there, and we attended her tapasya sessions together. And that is when I realized, okay, this is it. This is what I believe in. This is actually what I believe in. This is what I want. This is what I understand. And I said, okay, yeah, now I'm confident enough to support you. But unfortunately, what happened was, Anita gave birth when I was on a plane. So I wasn't able to attend her birth. But that experience taught me, okay, this is what I want. This is what I actually believe in, not just helping women stand up for their births as much as possible in the hospital, and just being turned down for most things. So I realized, okay, this is what I want.
And maybe Sister Anita wanted, like, the role of Sister Anita in your life was to bring you to this
Yes, it
eventually.
was. I will always say that it was her. It was her who introduced me to this. That I always knew that I needed something more, but that introduction, I needed that to get here. SubhanAllah.
Yeah. And then how did, yeah, things progress? When you became pregnant, how did everyone at home, when you thought of a home birth? Yeah.
To be honest, I think in that 1.5 year that I was married, before I was pregnant. I think I spoke about birth so much, and about the experiences that I had, and about my friends. I spoke about them so much that I think my family and my husband just knew that I'm going to have a home birth. It was so negative. I just told them about everything negative that happens in hospitals, that they just knew that I'm going to have a home birth. Don't know how, but I'm just going to go this way. So I didn't really have to fight for it that much. I spoke about it pretty much from the day I was married. So
Zara, your mom is a childbirth educator herself.
yes, yes, my mom and I attended
Wow.
that workshop. I took that course together, a Mani birth course.
So that kind of also builds up a very real or rational or authentic system for supporting you in your decision.
Yes, yes, definitely. She's been my rock, and she still is. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's a sweetheart. I know of all the lovely dishes she made for you all throughout that it made me
Yeah,
mouth watering.
definitely. All from the beginning of
Yeah,
pregnancy, she just took care of me and just really yummy, wholesome meals, whatever I needed at the time. And then my husband and I, when I was around 5 months pregnant, my husband and I left for Hajj, the pilgrimage, so which is very physical, but it was beautiful. It was a very beautiful experience for both of us. And then with the little one on the way, it was a very beautiful experience. So the 5th and 6th month of my pregnancy, I was there, and then we came back, and as we kind of settled, my mom took even more care of me, um, my nutrition and what I ate and exercise and my mental health and everything. And even I focused on things more. And then we started to, I had contacted Tapasya, and we were speaking with her that she would be available for my birth. So Tapasya was also, I was so relaxed my entire pregnancy. I want to say I was so relaxed. There was no tension. I wasn't running to appointments and getting scanned and this अब ये 2 inches इसमें कम दिख रहे हैं and ये वाला शायद scare है and all of these, there was none of that. So it was a very relaxing pregnancy. I had zero
so
checkups.
you did not see a yeah, you did not see a doctor at all throughout your pregnancy.
No, no, I did not. Actually, for my pilgrimage for my Hajj, I needed a proof of pregnancy, and I had none. So because I didn't even visit a gynecologist until then. So I'd just gone in for a scan just once in my 19 weeks, I guess, when I was. So I just went in for a scan myself and just took that for proof of pregnancy. Otherwise, no, no checkups, nothing, no doctor visits. In fact, when
Yeah,
Tapasya
yeah,
and my mom and I
yeah.
had discussed that we needed to have a backup doctor, we believe that birth is normal and natural, but obviously there is always a risk, obviously. So we wanted to keep up.
Everywhere, life,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
life in
we,
itself has risks. So we step out, we are more cautious of what we're doing,
hmm,
and Plan B is something that every midwife would
yes.
suggest. Yeah,
But I was so
go
relaxed
ahead. Yeah.
that I was crying. I would cry every time my mom suggested that we go and speak to a doctor and just get our names written just in case. You don't have to visit the doctor, no scans. I'm not going to let the doctor do anything. You just have to go, show our faces, and come just in case we need to go. No, I don't want to go.
Yeah, and then how did labor begin? How did things go from there? You had already prepped with by taking childbirth classes with the Pasya, and you knew how it would look like. But when the experience began, how was it?
Okay, so actually, the funny thing is that I was born at 35 weeks. When my mom gave birth to me, it was a precipitous labor. I was born at 35 weeks, completely normal, completely okay. So I was kind of hoping that I could give birth that soon. So I was almost ready around that time, but obviously I knew everything and I was in no hurry. I was just hoping that okay, even I can have a precipitous birth, even I can have my baby at 35 or maybe 36 or maybe 37 latest. So around 38 weeks, no baby, no labor, just a normal pregnancy, and I came to my mom's to stay 38 weeks. And then it was just pampering every day. I just had the best food and massages and just mentally, emotionally getting ready for my baby. Those 15 days were beautiful. My husband would visit every day, and some days he would stay over. Then there was one Sunday morning when my husband and I decided, I would tell him every Sunday that this could be our last Sunday. We need to go out. We need to do things as a couple. This could be the last time. And one Sunday morning, we decided to go out for breakfast, and I noticed that my contractions were pretty intense. So I told him maybe we should go out, see if they fizzle out or if it's the real thing. So
This was how many weeks were you
I was 38 weeks.
home?
Yeah, even when we were there, we were having breakfast. The contractions were very intense. I actually posted a snap writing, maybe this is my labor breakfast. So they were very intense, they were very close together, and I really thought this was time. And even when we were back home, things were picking up. We started timing my contractions, and everybody was awake and preparing, and we were already prepared. We weren't scared or anything. Tapasya had visited, I think by that time once. Tapasya had come, and she had just, we had the most beautiful checkup. I don't even want to call it a checkup. It was so beautiful. It was a dream. It was all of those Instagram home birthers who have their checkups at home, and everybody around listening to the baby's heartbeat. It was so beautiful. She was so gentle with the baby, and we just had a really good time. So we were pretty ready, and then we was timing my contractions and thinking, oh, this is the real thing. And then my mom suggests, you've been awake for a very long time. If this is labor, you need to rest. So go and try to take a nap. And then I go and I take a nap, and then when I wake up, there's nothing.
That's the best thing.
Yeah,
Usually in early labor, yeah, the excitement and everything kicks in, and we feel, oh my God, it's
yeah.
going to get intense now. And it turns out it was just not a
It
false
was,
alarm. It was more like a prodromal labor. Yeah.
yeah, it was absolutely nothing after that nap. Like those contractions went on for 4 or 5 hours, and they kept picking up, and it was nothing. And my husband just went home and he's
Yeah.
like, "तुमने तो उल्लू बना दिए." Everybody was so ready. But
Yeah.
subhanallah, that's how birth
Yeah.
happens. You just cannot predict anything. And for 2 weeks, there was nothing after that. Almost 2 weeks.
Wow. Yeah. It was pretty much a false alarm.
Yeah. And then one
Yeah.
day, I suddenly see my mucus plug in the toilet, and I'm so excited. I run out and I tell my mom, I think I see my mucus plug. And then my mom gives me a stick and then helps me fish it out from the toilet, and we're all so excited. Oh, such a miracle. We've heard of mucus plug releases from other people, but this is so beautiful, and we're all getting excited over it, clicking pictures and sending Tapasya. Oh, Tapasya, see, I saw this.
It's
And it was
It's
very
very different
beautiful.
with you guys that you guys are so excited with every step of the way as you're approaching labors. And for listeners, a mucus plug is basically like when you have cough, there's nose that is stuck, the mucus stuck in your nose. Pretty much like that. It can be pinkish, it can be with the blood, and it gets released as the cervix starts dilating. And it can happen ways before labor begins, days before labor begins, or it can happen with the beginning of the labor, or it can happen um, right when the labor is about to begin. So that is always a good sign. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
Sarah,
usually a
go on.
sign that uh, makes people afraid. Like, what am I supposed to do right now? And something is coming out of me. But to be honest, it was exciting for us. I was like, oh, okay, we are seeing this. It was. I was actually afraid of missing it. What if I flush it down the toilet and I don't see my mucus plug? I was afraid of that. So then for the next 4 days, I think 3 or 4 days, every morning I had a little bit of mucus plug discharge, and I'm just telling Tapasya that this is happening, and Tapasya is just very calm, and she's telling me, "Tell me when you're bleeding now." So when bleeding starts, that is generally when you know that you're dilating. So I'm like, okay, and we're very happy. I'm telling my friends, I just saw my mucus plug, and they're also very excited because they're very excited for this home birth of mine. The two best friends of mine who had traumatic births, they were really looking forward to this birth for their future births. They were like, we are waiting for your birth. And then one Saturday morning, when I'm almost, I think, 3 days before my due date on my 40th week mark, so I do start bleeding, and I tell the person, just like you said, I'm starting to bleed a little bit. And then again, I'm getting excited and thinking a little bit around the afternoon that, okay, I think maybe this is the real thing. I send my husband my labor support PDF to for him to revise, and then I have a good lunch. I have a bath, and then around four or
What's that?
five
What's a labor support PDF?
Actually, For my clients, when I teach them my childbirth education course, I give a pain, um, how to cope with pain. I just give them a PDF, so they can revise, or they have compiled list of things that support persons can do to help a woman cope with labor. So I just sent him that.
Lovely. Yeah.
So around 4 or 5 p.m. I go for a nap. I'm having contractions, pretty frequent contractions.
Were these contractions slightly different from the ones you had when you had them as,
No, no,
earlier?
they were not. They was just getting a
No.
little bit more intense. But actually, the ones that I had, that false alarm Sunday, as I call it, they were also very intense. They were also very real. So, but this time I was bleeding. So I was a little bit more sure that, okay, this is the real thing. So I get up and then I message my husband. I think this is the real thing. They are getting very painful. Around 6:30 p.m. I'm telling him this is very painful now, and I just see his message that he says, "I'm coming. I'm on my way." And that is the last time I touched my phone. And then I'm just getting through with these contractions. And then he arrives around 7
What are
p.m.
you doing? Are you moving around?
Yeah, I'm just in the bedroom moving around. My mom is there, my sister is there. They're offering me dates and coconut water and just helping me relax. And we all already have this environment set up. We have a dupatta hung from the ceiling that I can hang on to if I need any support. And I have my birth ball, and we have dim lights, and we have the Quran in the background. So we already had all of this set up. And then my husband arrives, and I just break down. I look at him and I just break down. I shake my head. I say, "This is very painful." And then I just slip into this subconsciousness of this extreme contractions. And I noticed even then, and even now I remember that those contractions were not like the contractions that I was having before. Even that day till the afternoon, I was having proper contractions. You know what a contraction is like? It builds up, starts slow, builds up, and then there's a peak, and then the contraction slows down. But my contractions from around 7 p.m. were just extreme pressure at the bottom of my uterus. Nothing else, just extreme pressure. There was no build up and there was no slowing down. It was just a huge bang every single time. There was no build up, no slow, gradual increase in a contraction. It was, I would say, the contractions were very weird and very, I had no breaks in between. And not sometimes not even 1 minute. And my mom is there trying to help me to relax, reminding me to be vocal and not high pitched but low pitched voices. And my husband is suggesting that I change positions, that sometimes if I want to, I can just get up and stand up, if I want to be on the floor, if I want to pull on something. And I just keep saying that I'm tired and I want to nap. I think now when I think about it, more than being actually tired, I had this thing in my mind that I have not been able to nap. And I knew that in early
Um,
labor you need to nap. So I'm just
yeah.
afraid, I have no idea how long this thing is going to go on, and I have not napped, so I'm going to get very tired, my body is going to get very tired. So I think that is the fear that kept me saying that I want to nap and I want to lie down. But my contractions didn't let me. They would suggest lie down, try to take a contraction while you're lying down, and I could just not lie down for even a few seconds, because the moment a contraction came, it was unbearable when I lied down. And I remember thinking even then, how do women do this lying down? How do women do this lying down strapped to a hospital bed? I cannot imagine. Oof, it
Absolutely.
was
And
so
cold
much.
beds and somebody
Yeah,
using their hands on you when you would not like to be touched because there's so much energy going through you. And that's how sometimes, and it's very important that you brought this up. That's how sometimes we all face our
yeah.
fears or our theories during labor. And no matter what we do, preparation is a great part of it. But no matter what we do,
Hmm.
there are lessons that we learn in labor that only labor can teach us. And at the same time, women are not able to move at I mean, women are not able to lie down during active labor. So you were pretty much, you do seem to be pretty much in that space where you were in your active labor stage. So yeah,
Yeah, I was. But I didn't know that, right? I thought there's still a very
of
long
course,
time to go. I had no idea that things are progressing so fast. So
it's so
I just thought
blur,
this
no?
is
It's so
too
blur.
intense. Yeah, it was just too intense, and it just began and it's too intense already. And I just could not lie down. And they just kept suggesting, just helping. I don't even know what was going on around me. Just little glimpses I remember. I just remember once when I was crying, I was just saying that this is too intense, and there is too much pressure. My mom just telling me, make dua, Zara, make dua. And I just broke down, and I just made dua to Allah, that Allah make my baby, protect my baby from everything, and just made dua for my baby. And I think that helped me a little bit. So that is just the only time that I looked up at what is happening around me. I think that was the only time I looked up at my mom's face and I saw tears in her eyes. I didn't realize then, but I remembered it later the next day, that that was the only time I consciously looked up during labor and I saw my mom's face and she had tears in her eyes. So that's a very, I don't know,
And how
I cannot even
long
say beautiful
did it go
memory.
like? Yeah.
This started at around 7 p.m., like very super intense that I cannot even speak, cannot even lie down. And he was born at 11:50 p.m. So that was pretty fast. I had no idea it was progressing this fast, but it was really fast. It was very fast. Around, I think, 9 or 10 p.m., I started to push. I didn't realize that I'm starting to push, and my mother is asking me, "Are you pushing?" I said, "Ha ha, I'm pushing." Um, and she was constantly in contact.
Tell us about pushing. How does pushing look like for you?
To be honest, I was thinking, you feel that urge, and like when you want to poop or something. There was no urge, and my body wasn't even doing the pushing itself. I was actively pushing, but I have no idea why I started pushing. I'm still asking that to
Is
myself.
it because wow, I'm so happy I asked this then. I've seen this in a few births where the moment they feel the sensation that I want to push, they just know, they just say, I want to push or I'm pushing. Um, and it's in our subconscious mind, we've only seen pushing like in the TV, in the media, in the movies. So subconsciously, it goes into a high pitched, or it goes into a like that.
Yeah.
And that's something that we discussed um in our community, and we came to a conclusion that probably it's just a subconscious what we see. Sometimes it just we start doing it and we take that as a reference, and yeah, just that.
Yeah, I was expecting, I always thought that it's this urge to push, or else your uterus is pushing and you don't have to do any pushing. But I was actively pushing. I was actively pushing, and I was so subconscious. I was not really very aware of what I'm doing, what is happening. But I started pushing. I have no idea why. I still cannot say. Subhanallah.
At the same time, yeah, that's absolutely normal, and at the same time, it's not required to be done. So I think the more the
Yeah.
media starts showing birth in a different form, the more the media starts showing that women are breathing through or roaring
Hmm.
through or using their breath to just bear down, they would know how that can
Hmm.
look very different collectively for all of us. So yeah,
Yes.
it's part of life. Not everything can be 100% how there's no ideal in birth. It's our own
Yeah.
journeys.
No, I think this is
So
exactly
yeah.
how my body needed to birth, right? Nobody was telling me to push. I just started to push myself. Not because I don't remember thinking that this is going to ease my pain, my contractions. I wasn't pushing to get rid of my contractions. I know that very well. I just started pushing instinctively. So that is what my body needed to do right then. Nobody was directing me to do it. So I think that was perfect then.
Wonderful.
Um,
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
beautiful. And then I remember my husband asking me if I would be comfortable to sit on the toilet. He remembered that it gets comfortable. It gets sometimes sitting on the toilet is a very good reminder of letting go of that area of our body. So he remembered. I think he did really revise that labor support PDF uh, at
So
the correct
sweet.
time. Yeah, he suggested that I sit on the toilet. So it was a whole procession. They helped me get up and go to the toilet and sit on the toilet. And moment I sat down, it's my husband and I, and we noticed that there's a little bag of water that's coming out. So I wasn't very comfortable anyway on the toilet seat. So just in a few moments, we just see that there's a bag of waters coming out. It's a cute little bag I saw with the mirror, and I just get up from the toilet, and they help me back again in the room. And this time, I'm on the floor. There's sheets on the floor.
What position were you in when you were uh
In the bathroom.
when the baby was coming? In the bathroom, you
Okay,
were
yeah.
sitting
So
on the commode outside when you came back into the room.
uh, um, there's sheets on the floor. They've put sheets on the floor because right now I'm pushing and I want to be on the floor. I want to be bedding down. So my husband's sitting behind me on the bed. I'm kind of squatting, kind of lunging. I think I had one knee up and one knee down. So that is the
Okay.
position that I was
And
pushing
he's
in.
holding you from
Yeah, my
behind.
shoulders. Yes,
So
he
in a
was
way, you're
holding my
taking his
shoulders.
support. Yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah. Yeah.
was. And my
Great.
mom
Yeah.
and my sister are in front of me. They're right there with me. So I think this went on for around 10 to 15 minutes. Just after coming out from the bathroom, I'm pushing 10 to 15 minutes. And my mom says, I can see the head. And I remember her asking, do you want to touch your baby's head, Zahara? She looks up at me, she smiles, and she says, do you want to touch your baby's head? I'm very surprised the head is out already.
Wow. It's not a suffering.
Yeah, I remember her asking, and but I don't remember actually touching. She says that I did touch, and I looked at her and I smiled, but I don't remember doing it. I just remember very clearly that she asked me and she smiled and she asked, and then I sort of gave one big push. Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious. I'm curious. So you said the bag of waters was coming first. So was the baby in the bag of the waters, or the bag of waters broke as it came out?
Okay, yeah. I No, nothing actually broke, or maybe it broke. There was barely any water when he was born. The bag of waters didn't break before he was born. I'm very sure about that. There was no water release before. And even when he was born, immediately we noticed that there was barely any water. So this is a very important part of my birth story. Uh, we think that if this was a hospital birth, they would have been very afraid. Oh, pani bahut kam hai. There's very little water and some scary thing. But there was no water breaking, and he was not even born in call. So there was very less water, I guess.
Oh, so maybe the amount that came out in the beginning, that was not much. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was not much water. There was not much water. Not with him, not before, not after. When
Lovely.
Tapasya had come to visit, I think 3 4 weeks back, Tapasya had mentioned that there is a little less amount of fluid. She felt that. But she said nothing to worry, everybody's body is different. And I was focusing on hydrating and trying to just get it up if it needed to be up. But that's a very beautiful thing. I think that that's just how much water my baby and my body needed. Nobody can tell you,
Nobody.
what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that there's too little water, there's too much water. There was barely half a cup of water coming out with my baby, but that is what he needed, and that is what I needed. So it was very little. So I just gave one big push, and no, I didn't catch him exactly. I was very close to the floor. I gave one big push, and he slid out onto the sheets, and I immediately picked him up. And he's wearing his cord around his neck and also around his shoulders like a backpack. So it
Nice.
was pretty tight. So I pick him up, and I'm unable to do anything. Unable to remove the cord because it's so tight. It's around his head and around his neck and around his shoulders. So then I was fumbling a little bit, trying to get the cord out of his neck.
Hmm.
So my mom helped me a little bit to get it out of his neck and his shoulders, and I just picked him up and I held him and I said, "Mera beta," and mom is asking, "Beta hai?" Because she hadn't seen. So I said, "Ha, beta hai," and then I was just crying and ugly tears. It
Yeah.
was so slimy. Actually, not too slimy, but it was just
Supposed to be
immediately very
slimy.
cute.
Yeah. And
Yeah, it was.
I want to ask, so this was pretty much a free birth. You birthed among yourself.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this was pretty much
Yes,
a
we
free
did. It was
birth.
just my husband, my mom, and my sister. Tapasya was on call. She was continuously on call. She was guiding us on call. So,
Fantastic.
to be very honest, I had asked Tapasya to be at my birth, and we had planned it that way. She was in Maharashtra, and but she had visited us once or twice. But every time I imagined my birth, or I thought about it consciously or subconsciously, or I had a dream, Tapasya was not there. It was just me and my family. She was there as a guide, but she was not present physically. And every time that Tapasya came, she always mentioned that I know तुम लोगों को मेरे होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तुम लोग तो रेडी हो. So I think it was just meant to be that way, that my labor was so fast that she was unable to come. So it was beautiful.
Yeah, very classic of home births. Sometimes midwives are not able to reach, and that is why the preparation is so intense.
Yeah.
The preparation is so in depth
Yes.
about birth because the mother needs to birth, and the very
Hmm.
to own it, to own your own birth is the basic. It's the crux of birth because we are mammals, and that is what makes it empowering to have to figure out and to learn through the process that my body knew it all along, no matter what we felt before and after. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's
It was just very normal. This is exactly what my body, my mind just knew. This is how I needed to birth. I just needed the support, and I had the perfect support for that. So it just happened that way.
and how did the
Yeah.
placenta come then?
It came pretty late after he was born. My husband gave the azan in his ear, the call to prayer, and then we just sat with him. Then they helped me transfer to the bed, and my husband is holding the baby because the cord is still attached and the placenta is still inside me. And as I was transferring to the bed, baby peed and pooped on his father for the first time in his hand. So that was cool. And then he's holding and just there for around an hour. um, then an hour later we cut his cord. My husband cut his cord. My sister was holding the cord. My mom was, I think, holding the baby. So it was just a family thing. We cut the cord, and I had crocheted a little cord tie for him. So we
Wow.
tied that around his cord,
Hmm.
and it was beautiful. Then I think around the 2 hour mark, Tapasya and mom started, insisting, try to get the placenta out, because I was getting tired and the contractions were pretty intense, still pretty intense. My body was trying to get rid of the placenta. So I was tired, I was lying down, I was not ready to get up. They tried to tell me, and Tapasya over the phone, she's like, you did really well. अब थोड़ा सा उठ के देखो, थोड़ा सा उठ के बैठो, थोड़ा सा ट्राई करो, जल्दी से आ जाएगा. I was like, थोड़ी देर बाद, थोड़ी देर बाद. But then I said, okay, ठीक है, I'll try. And I just get up. I'm preparing to sit on the birth stool that my mother has set up on the bed. I haven't even sat on it, and it just plopped out. It was ready.
It was
So
there
it was
out.
just there. So 2 hours
Yeah.
later, yeah, I just got up and the placenta came out
Did you do
with all the
something
clots and all the blood.
special with the placenta? Did you make a keepsake, or did you?
We buried the placenta. No, no, we buried the
Lovely.
placenta.
Did you see it? Was it
We
whole?
buried the placenta.
And how did it look? How did you find?
Yes, it was whole. We have pictures of my placenta. The pictures of my placenta also have my mom's full bloodied hand in those pictures, because she was inspecting it. She was just going through it. So we checked it. We saw it. It was very dark red. My mom was very proud of that, because she said, "This is a healthy placenta. It looks like a healthy placenta." So it was cute. I have a tiny little thing that I didn't touch my placenta. I think, inshallah, if there's a next time, I'm going to do that.
Yay.
I was just asking my mom. I saw it. I just asking my mom, yeah, is it whole? And she said, yeah, it's whole. And so I didn't really work to get the placenta out. It just plopped out. And
Wonderful.
then he just fed my baby just in 5 minutes. I think for 5 minutes he fed, he nursed, and then he went off to sleep. And the next 24 hours he was not ready to take any milk, not even one drop. He was sleeping so peacefully. Subhanallah. It was so beautiful for 24 hours.
It's something that I want to highlight because this is something it's often seen in home births, and this is also something we prepare women for, that the baby will go into recovery sleep.
Hmm.
And because in the industrialized medical care, babies are somehow to some extent almost always drugged with, if nothing through the birth, there will be pitocin towards the end to have the placenta be born, which came out
Hmm.
with the natural oxytocin that your body released. And so babies sometimes are not into recovery sleep, or they are into their recovery sleep, but the process is such that they're woken up or they're forcefully fed every 2 hours, plus skin to
Hmm.
skin, the mother's body to regulate their blood sugars and their um, uh, body temperature doesn't happen. So their blood pressure, their blood sugars, their body temperature is not regulated naturally. For that, they keep feeding the baby, which in a way is not natural. So it's wonderful to know that it's absolutely okay to allow and let your baby sleep if the baby is doing very well, for as long as the baby wants to feed. Yeah, I mean sleep. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. He was just peacefully asleep. We could see that. So there was nothing to fear. And the mom really needs rest, right? The first 24 hours, she's just recovering mentally, physically. It's a
nature
beautiful thing
is
that nature has done, that the babies are very sleepy.
nature is intelligent that ways. Every part of the design is fantastic if we allow ourselves to witness it, which is not
Yes,
happening.
exactly. Without doubting it. And is there something wrong with my baby or my body?
Yeah,
So, the very big thing, my very big fear, and something that scared me was that I had a tear. I had a pretty big tear. In fact, it was so big and so scary that at the beginning, after birth, I think after cutting his cord, when we looked at it, we first thought that my placenta was coming out. There was actually such a huge piece of tissue hanging out. It was around an inch or even more. It was a piece of tissue hanging out. So we were very
yeah,
scared. What is wrong? And it was a pretty deep second degree tear. So that was scary. But even in the following days, I was very sure. Even my mother was doubting a little bit. She kept asking me, if you feel comfortable, if you don't feel comfortable, do you want to go in and get checked? I was very sure, nahi kuch bhi ho, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave the house. I have given birth, itna kar liya. I know, I trust my body to heal, even if it's a second degree there. I know I don't want to go in for sutures.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I didn't, and initially I was really scared. Yeah, I cannot say it healed initially, because I was really afraid. I was really scared. To be very honest, right now, if I think about it, there was no pain. It was just fear. I was just, while sitting down, going to the bathroom, I was just so afraid that I have this big tear. And
Wow.
I was very adamant. I don't want to get it sutured, but I was afraid. There was no pain. But the fear, it was there. And I was talking to so many people. I found somebody on Instagram, some woman, I think in America, who had a free birth and had a third degree tear, and she has a tear guide. And I went through that. I purchased it and I went through that. And I have so many people telling me that it's very natural. Your body gave birth naturally. You can heal naturally. It is going to, stick together. It is going to heal. In fact, in the first week, it healed. We could see there was no wound, but it was still open. It was still open. There was no wound. It was not infected, but it was still open. Yeah. So I
It looks open, but if we keep the legs together and keep using the treatment, so if you were using already honey or turmeric, it kind of works. Keep it stuck
yeah,
together.
I was using turmeric.
Hmm.
It was not 10 days. The first 3 months, it looked pretty open.
Ah, okay.
I
Yeah.
think that was a very long time, and I was really afraid. I think 2 months, so it was pretty open. I was afraid, but I just had people telling me it's okay, it happens, it happens. It's your body, it will heal naturally. Everything healed naturally. And then I went to this pelvic floor physiotherapist, and she's telling me that your body is doing really well. Just give it time. You cannot expect your body to heal so fast when it took 9 months to grow that baby, right?
Wow.
So that kind of set my mind straight. Okay, I need to give my body time. And now I think 3 months later, 3 months after my birth, I was blown away. Tapasya had suggested that I stop looking at my tear. I was looking at it like multiple times a day, and I was just scaring myself that it's not going to stick
Absolutely.
together, and I'm never going to be able to do this, never going to be able to spread my legs, even though there was no pain. I was just afraid. So I just want to put it out there for anybody who's having a natural birth that tears happen and they heal. I can I can spread my legs wide apart right now. Heals. In my mind, I was so scared. I was so scared, but it's beautiful. Our body is beautiful. I was blown away. It stuck back together so beautifully. There was just this little thin line, white line that just says that okay, something had happened here. Otherwise, it healed so beautifully. I used no medications, just turmeric, and my body did the work. So our bodies are amazing. They're beautiful. That was the most beautiful thing, I think.
Mm.
I needed to get that tear. I needed to, because my birth was really simple. I needed to get that tear to really actually be shaken and then surrender and then get, that realization and that awareness of how much of a miracle my body can perform. SubhanAllah. It was beautiful.
Yay. Wow. The secret here is that birth does not need anything. Mostly.
Yeah, it does not, mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly it only needs your trust in yourself, trust in your body, and that's all
Yeah.
you need.
Yeah.
I did have a rocky start to breastfeeding, you know that very well. I kept talking to you, so that is another thing that I had expected, to be honest, that if I have a very natural birth, free birth, and there's nothing disrupting my baby or me, breastfeeding is going to be a piece of cake, but it was not. It was not, even after everything going so smoothly. The first few months were really difficult, but once again, I think my birth was so easy. I needed something to shake me into motherhood, right? Subhanallah. And that one thing that I think is the conclusion for my birth. I always used to think, those first few days and even months later, I spoke to Tapasya, I messaged her, I said, Tapasya, my contractions were really weird. I still cannot figure out why my contractions were that way, because I had prepared to relax during labor and do all of the things that I help women do. And I did have my husband do the hip squeezes and counter pressure, but my contractions were not building up the regular way. They were not building up and then getting intense, and it was just pressure, like bang bang bang. It was just continuous. And why was it that way? What should I get from this? The Pasya said something that really seemed true. She said that, Zara, you had a really supportive environment, not traumatic past, nothing traumatic in your environment, in your past, in your pregnancy. So I think your body was so ready to give birth. Your body had no restrictions, nothing. That your labor was progressing extremely fast. Usually, there is some trauma from the pregnancy, or maybe from the environment, or maybe from the support persons, or maybe from past pregnancies or past births. I had, Alhamdulillah, I was blessed in every way, and it was everything was very smooth. So she said, your body was working really fast. There was nothing stopping your uterus and your labor. So I think that that is why your labor was that fast, and that hit so true. I mean, that made so much sense. So that gave me kind of closure for my birth story. This was my biggest doubt. Why were my contractions so different? Why were they so extremely intense? I usually hear that intense contractions, unbearable contractions, are when you get induced, but why were my contractions so different? But it was because there was nothing stopping them, right? So I think that's beautiful. That's a beautiful way to feel complete about my labor. I think you're mute, Divya.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah. I think today women are taking generally 2-3 days to birth. They go on to have natural births, just the same experiences. Experiences are exhausting, can be exhausting, but they are blissful. Generally, they're very positive, gentle. There's something right after the birth, even if it has gone on for 2-3 days. Women are like, I want to do this again. I'm happy. We can do this again. And it's just that
Yeah.
high after birth that they get. But it's so true that when it's the process of the birth itself that will heal the trauma that women collectively have gone through in the past, in the last few
Hmm.
decades. And even if it is taking 2-3 days, which is absolutely okay, normal. And even in the past, it used to happen like that. But just generally saying that whatever it is supposed to take to come to the other side, collectively, that will happen, that it will take. The transformation that it is bringing today,
Yes.
yeah, it will take its own course. And it's absolutely wonderful. And I really, I'm really thankful
Exactly.
to you to take out time and share your story with us. And I really hope it inspires many more women to own their births and not be scared. And if they are scared, allow the process to, yeah, trust, allow the process to help them with it. Yeah.
Trust your body, trust what it can do, trust your baby. Inshallah.
If you have been enjoying the podcast, here is an appeal to please drop a review or rating on Apple or Spotify to allow this podcast to be discovered by many more mums. This little effort from your side keeps this free resource alive and running. Thank you so much.
There is a field beyond fear where the body is empowered to take on labor and birth. To land there, it is crucial to take birth education. To enroll into our unique labor and birth preparation course, reach out to us at www.birthagni.com or scroll through all available prenatal and postnatal preparation classes. Thank you for listening, all in the spirit of birth, womanhood, and freedom. Remember, you got the bar. This podcast is about physiological birth and does not offer or claim to provide medical knowledge or diagnosis.